The courier's body washed up on Baker Beach 3 months after baby Diane was born. A 23-year-old kid from Oakland, throat cut ear to ear, dumped in the bay with the tide. The San Francisco Chronicle called it gang violence. Min knew better. The Korean character carved into the courier's chest told a different story. The character for thief. Angelia stood in their living room at dawn, Diane sleeping against her shoulder, watching Min read the police report. His face was stone, but his hands trembled. Just slightly. Just enough. "They're here." She didn't make it a question. Min's eyes met hers across the room, and the man looking back wasn't the father who'd been singing lullabies an hour ago. This was the predator, the heir, the monster Seoul had created. Not just here, they've been here for weeks, watching, waiting, making sure we felt safe before they struck. The courier was a message. The courier was a test. Min set down the report, crossed to her, touched Diane's tiny fist with one finger. They wanted to see if I'd respond, if I'd activate old networks, call in favors, prove I'm still connected to the world I left behind. Angelia's blood went cold. "And you didn't." "I didn't." His smile was bitter. "Which means they now know I've gone soft, that I chose you and our daughter over the family, that I'm vulnerable." So-yeon appeared in the doorway, already dressed in black despite the early hour, her face grim. "We have a problem. Julian Vance just called. The FBI pulled surveillance footage from Pier 39. 3 men, Korean, diplomatic passports. They've been in the city for 6 weeks. And he can't touch them because of immunity. Let me guess." Min's voice was dead calm. "One of them is my cousin, Ji-hun." So-yeon's silence was confirmation enough. Before Angelia could ask who Ji-hun was, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. She'd been getting them for days, always at dawn, always silent when she answered. This time, there was a voice. Female. Young. Speaking perfect English with a Seoul accent. "Ms. Richardson, my name is Park Seo-yeon. I'm calling on behalf of the Lee family matriarch in Seoul. She would like to extend an invitation for you to bring her great-granddaughter to Korea for a family reunion." Angelia's hand tightened on Diane. "Tell your matriarch she can go to hell." "Ms. Richardson, you misunderstand. This isn't a request." The woman's voice remained pleasant, poisonously so. "Your daughter carries royal blood. The Lee family has rules about such things. If you refuse the invitation, the family will be forced to retrieve what belongs to them, and retrievals are rarely gentle." The line went dead. "Are you team go to Seoul and face them, or team run and never stop running? Because this family reunion is about to get deadly. Drop your choice in the comments and tell me what city you're watching from. If you're ready for twists that'll make Part 1 look tame, hit that subscribe button. This war is about to go international." Min's cousin arrived that afternoon. No warning. No courtesy call. Ji-hun simply walked through their front door like he owned it, flanked by 2 men in suits who were clearly more than bodyguards. He was younger than Min, maybe 28, with the same sharp features, but cruelty in his eyes that Min had never possessed. "Cousin." Ji-hun's English was flawless, British educated. "You've been avoiding the family's calls." "I've been busy." Min positioned himself between Ji-hun and Angelia, who stood at the top of the stairs with Diane. Raising a daughter, building a legitimate business, living a life that doesn't require counting bodies. Ji-hun's smile was a razor. "Yes, we've heard about your little redemption arc. Very inspiring. Very American. Very naive." He glanced past Min to Angelia. "And this must be the forensic accountant who destroyed the San Francisco branch. Impressive work, Ms. Richardson. The elders you sent to prison send their regards. Or they would, if they weren't all dead." The world stopped. "What? Surely you didn't think they'd survive federal prison?" Ji-hun examined his manicured nails. The Lee family has a long reach. All 7 of them suffered tragic accidents within the first month of their incarceration. Heart attacks, falls, one particularly unfortunate stabbing that the guards somehow didn't see. Angelia's knees went weak. 7 men, dead, because of evidence she'd provided. You killed them. The family eliminated traitors. There's a difference. Ji-hun's eyes, cold and calculating, fixed on her. They allowed their territory to be compromised, allowed a woman to infiltrate their organization, allowed my cousin to father a bastard with an outsider. Their weakness endangered the entire family, so they were removed. Min moved so fast, Ji-hun's guards didn't have time to react. One moment he was across the room, the next he had his cousin slammed against the wall, forearm across his throat. "Get out of my house!" Ji-hun didn't even flinch. "Or what? You'll kill me. That would be unfortunate, because I'm the only thing standing between your daughter and the grandmother who wants her dead." The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to detonate. Min's arm didn't move, but something in his expression shifted. "Explain." "The matriarch, Lee's son he, our grandmother." Ji-hun's voice was strained but steady. "She's 86 years old and dying. Stomach cancer. 6 months, maybe less. And she's decided that before she dies, she's going to cleanse the family bloodline of every contamination, starting with the American bastard." Angelia descended the stairs slowly. Diane held tight. "Why are you telling us this?" Ji-hun's eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something other than cruelty. Fear. "Because the matriarch has also decided I'm contaminated. My mother was Japanese, not Korean, not pure. For 40 years she tolerated me because I was useful. But now, in her final months, she's decided to purge anyone with mixed blood, which means your daughter dies. And so do I." Min released him, stepped back. "You're asking for protection. I'm proposing an alliance." Ji-hun straightened his suit, his composure returning. "The matriarch can't move against us if we're united. She's old, sick. Her power comes from tradition, from the other families respecting her authority. But if we stand together, show a united front, we can survive until she dies. And then the family leadership passes to the next generation." "To me? Or to you?" "Why would I want to lead a family that murdered my father?" "Because if you don't, someone worse will." Ji-hun pulled out his phone, showed them a photograph. An elderly Korean woman in a hospital bed, surrounded by younger family members, all of them looking at the camera with the same cold calculation. "These are your relatives, Min, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. Every single one of them would kill your daughter without hesitation to maintain blood purity. I'm the only one who wants her alive." "Why?" Angelia's question was sharp. Ji-hun's smile returned, but it was tired now. Genuine. "Because I have a daughter too, half Japanese, 6 years old, living in Kyoto with her mother who I've never been allowed to marry. The matriarch doesn't know about her yet, but when she finds out, she'll send someone to Japan just like she's sending someone here. So yes, Ms. Richardson, I'm asking for an alliance, because your daughter's survival means my daughter's survival. And if we're very smart and very lucky, maybe they can grow up in a world where blood purity doesn't determine whether they live or die." So Jan, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. "How do we know you're telling the truth? This could be a trap. You get us to lower our guard, and then—" Ji-hun pulled out another phone, threw it to her. "That's encrypted. Direct line to the matriarch's physician in Seoul. Call him, ask him about her cancer, her prognosis, her increasing paranoia and obsession with family purity. Then decide if I'm lying." The room fell silent, except for Diane's soft breathing against Angelia's chest. Min looked at Angelia. She looked at So-Yan. 3 people who'd already torn down one empire, now facing another. "What do you want from us?" Min's voice was careful. "A united front. We go to Seoul, together. You, me, Angelia, the baby. We present Diane to the family formally, with respect, with ceremony. We show them she's not a threat, she's an asset. That she carries the Lee blood, yes, but also her mother's brilliance, her mother's strength. We make them see her as more than a contamination. And if they don't? Ji-hun's expression went cold again. Then we do what you did here. We destroy them from the inside. I have files, evidence, decades of crimes the matriarch has committed. Murders, embezzlement, treason. I've been collecting it for years, waiting for the right moment. You gave me the playbook when you took down the San Francisco elders. Now I want to use it on a much bigger target. Angelia felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her chest. Go to Seoul, walk into the lion's den, with her 3-month-old daughter as bait, or refuse, and spend the rest of their lives running, always looking over their shoulders, never safe. Min's hand found hers. It's your choice. She's your daughter too. I won't make this decision without you. Angelia looked down at Diane, sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that her existence had started a war between 2 continents. She thought about her mother, Diane Richardson, who'd been murdered for daring to build something outside the lines the old men had drawn. She thought about the daughter growing up in Kyoto, innocent and vulnerable and marked for death by a grandmother who'd never met her. We go. Her voice was steady despite the terror churning in her stomach. But not as supplicants, not begging for mercy. We go as what we are, the rightful heirs to half of everything the Lee family built. My mother was a founder. That makes Diane legitimate. And if they want war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. Ji-hun's smile was slow and dangerous and approving. Now you sound like a Lee. No. Angelia's eyes were fire. I sound like a Richardson, and it's time Seoul learned the difference. The flight to Seoul was a nightmare wrapped in luxury. Ji-hun had arranged everything: private jet, false passports for Angelia and Diane, security team that was loyal to him, not the matriarch. They left San Francisco under cover of night, and by the time the sun rose, they were over the Pacific Ocean. Angelia couldn't sleep. She stood at the window, watching the clouds, Diane asleep in a bassinet nearby. Min approached, wrapped his arms around her from behind. I won't let them hurt her. His voice was fierce in her ear. I don't care what it costs, what I have to become. They won't touch our daughter. I know. Angelia leaned into him. But what if stopping them means you have to become them? What if saving Diane means turning back into the man you were before? The heir? The monster? What if we destroy ourselves saving her? Min was quiet for a long moment. Then that's what we do. I'd rather be a monster who keeps his daughter alive than a good man who lets her die. It was the answer she'd expected, the answer she'd feared, because she knew, deep in her bones, that Seoul was going to force them to make choices that would change them forever. That the people who came back from Korea, if they came back at all, wouldn't be the same ones who'd left San Francisco. So-yeon joined them at the window. I've been thinking about Ji-hun's files, the evidence he claims to have. We should verify it before we commit to anything, because if he's lying, if this is a trap, it's not a trap. Ji-hun appeared behind them, drink in hand. It's a calculated risk, for all of us, but since you asked here. He handed So-yeon a tablet. Bank records. The matriarch has been embezzling from family accounts for 30 years. $17 million in a Swiss account under a false name. She's been stealing from her own children to fund her personal luxuries. That alone would be enough to turn the family against her. So-yeon scrolled through the documents, her expression shifting from skepticism to shock. This is real. These transactions, the account numbers, this is a financial investigator's dream. With this, we could bankrupt her, disgrace her, turn the entire family against her before she can mobilize them against us. Ji-hun's smile was cold. I told you, I've been planning this for a long time. I just needed allies brave enough or desperate enough to execute it with me. Why didn't you do it alone? Min's question was sharp. Because she's my grandmother. Whatever else she is, however monstrous, she raised me, taught me, made me who I am. I can help destroy her, but I can't be the one to pull the trigger. Ji-hun looked at Angelia. But you can. You have no loyalty to her, no history, no guilt. You can do what needs to be done without hesitation. Angelia met his gaze. You want me to be the executioner. I want you to be the queen. Ji-hun raised his glass in a mock toast. The Black American queen who walked into Seoul and took down the Lee matriarch. It's poetic, really. Fitting. Your mother tried to build an empire with our family. You get to finish what she started by destroying the woman who had her killed. The tablet felt heavy in Angelia's hands. So much power, so much destruction. One upload, one anonymous tip to Korean authorities, and Lee Sun-hee's world would collapse. But doing it would make Angelia exactly what the matriarch feared. An outsider with too much power. A contamination that could destroy the family from within. I'll do it. The words came out before she could second-guess them. But not for revenge. Not for power. I'll do it to protect my daughter. To protect your daughter. To make sure no child ever dies because of blood purity laws written by people who value tradition over human life. Ji-hun's expression softened. Just slightly. Just enough. You know, Min, you chose well. She's terrifying. I know. Min's arm tightened around Angelia. It's one of the things I love about her. They landed in Seoul 15 hours later. The city sprawled beneath them, modern and ancient twisted together, neon lights against traditional temples, a metropolis caught between past and future. A convoy of black cars waited on the tarmac. Armed men in suits. Ji-hun's people, he assured them. But Angelia noticed how Min's hand never left the small of her back, how his eyes tracked every movement, every shadow. The Lee family compound was in Gangnam, hidden behind walls that had stood for 200 years. Inside, it was a different world, traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern security. Gardens that looked peaceful, but were monitored by cameras and armed guards. A palace that was also a fortress. The matriarch waited in the main hall. Lee Sun-hee sat on a raised platform, tiny and ancient and terrifying, oxygen tubes in her nose, blankets around her skeletal frame. But her eyes, dark and sharp, missed nothing. So, her voice was surprisingly strong for someone dying. The American bastard has come home. Min stood before her, Angelia at his side, Diane in her arms. Grandmother, I've brought your great-granddaughter to meet you. Lee Sun-hee's eyes fixed on the baby with an expression Angelia couldn't read. Hatred, fascination, disgust. She has your eyes, Min. But her skin is wrong. Her blood is contaminated. She carries pollution that can never be cleansed. She carries Richardson blood. Angelia's voice rang clear through the hall, shocking everyone into silence. A Black American woman didn't speak in the presence of the matriarch, didn't address her directly, didn't challenge her. But Angelia did all three. My mother built your San Francisco empire. My father created the technology that made you billions. Diane doesn't carry contamination. She carries legacy. And if you're too blind with prejudice to see that, then you don't deserve her respect. The hall erupted, family members shouting, guards moving forward, Ji-hun stepping in front of Angelia protectively. But the matriarch held up one skeletal hand, and everyone froze. You dare speak to me this way? In my house? In front of my family? I dare. Angelia stepped forward, Min at her side, united front. Because you ordered my mother's murder. Because you sent men to threaten my daughter. Because you built an empire on blood and bones and stolen dreams, and you call it tradition. Well, I'm here to tell you, Lee Sun-hee, Your tradition ends with my daughter. She's the last generation that will ever bow to blood purity laws, and if you want to stop her, you'll have to go through me first." The matriarch's laugh was a death rattle. "Brave words. Foolish words. You think because you destroyed the San Francisco elders you can destroy me? I've survived wars, coups, assassination attempts. I've outlived enemies who were smarter and stronger than you. What makes you think you're different?" "Because I'm not trying to kill you." Angelia's smile was cold. "I'm just going to outlive you. 6 months, right? That's what your doctor says. So I'll wait. We all will. And when you die, when your grip on this family finally loosens, we'll build something new, something better, something our daughters can inherit without shame." The matriarch's face went purple. "Get them out. Out of my house. Out of my sight. And if I see that child again, if she sets foot on Korean soil one more time, I will end her myself, cancer or no cancer." Guards moved forward, but Ji-hun stepped between them and Angelia. "No, they're under my protection, and if you order my people to move against them, you'll start a civil war within the family, because half of the people in this room are tired of your tyranny, tired of your paranoia, tired of watching you destroy anyone who doesn't fit your narrow definition of purity." "You betray me?" The matriarch's voice was poison. "You, who I raised from nothing? You raised me to be smart, strategic, ruthless." Ji-hun's smile was his cousin's smile. Sharp, dangerous, beautiful. "I learned well, and now I'm using everything you taught me to survive you." The standoff stretched, guards unsure who to obey, family members watching with hungry, calculating eyes. And then, from the back of the hall, a voice Angelia didn't expect. Min-jun, the brother who was supposed to be dead, the one who'd tried to poison her baby. He walked forward slowly, hands visible, no weapons. "Grandmother, I have information about the American woman you should hear. Information about her mother. About what really happened 30 years ago." Angelia's blood went cold. Min moved in front of her instinctively. "Brother, whatever you think you know, your mother didn't just build the San Francisco Empire." Min-jun's eyes were on Angelia, and in them she saw not hatred but something worse. Pity. "She was married to our uncle, Lee Tae-wan, the man who supposedly had her killed. He was her husband, which means, Miss Richardson, you're not just your father's daughter. You're a Lee, by marriage, by law, by blood." The world tilted. Angelia's voice came out as a whisper. "That's not possible. My mother married my father. I have the certificate, the photos, the fabricated documents she created to hide her real marriage, to protect you." Min-jun pulled out a folder. Old, weathered, official. Marriage certificate. Seoul, 1992. Diane Richardson and Lee Tae-wan. Witnessed by the matriarch herself. Your mother wasn't murdered for being an outsider, Angelia. She was murdered for trying to leave the family, for trying to take you and run back to America, for violating her vows. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Everything Angelia thought she knew, every story she'd built in her head about her mother the victim, her mother the founder, her mother the warrior, all of it crumbled. No. But even as she said it, pieces clicked into place. The patents. Her mother's knowledge of the Mafia, the way she'd built the San Francisco Empire so quickly, so efficiently. She hadn't been an outsider at all. She'd been family. My father was a good man who loved a woman who was already married to a monster, who helped her try to escape, who died never knowing his daughter was technically a Lee by family law. The matriarch spoke, her voice carrying across the silent hall. This changes everything. The girl isn't a bastard, she's legitimate, a Lee by blood and by marriage law, which means she has a claim to inheritance, to leadership, to everything. Angelia couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Min's hand found hers, steady, anchoring. What are you saying? I'm saying, the matriarch's smile was terrible, that your daughter doesn't need to be eliminated. She needs to be trained, educated, shaped into a proper Lee heir. And you, Ms. Richardson, you need to take your mother's place. As Lee Tae-won's widow, as a member of this family, as one of us. No. The word tore from Angelia's throat. I will never, never be one of you. Then your daughter dies, tonight. Not as a contamination, but as a traitor to her own family. The matriarch's eyes were merciless. You have 1 hour to decide. Join us or lose everything. Are you team join the family to save Diane, or team burn it all down? Because Angelia just found out her entire life was a lie. Drop your vote in the comments and tell me what city you're watching from. If you're ready to see how this impossible choice plays out, hit that subscribe button, because part 3 is going to shatter everything you think you know. The hour passed in a blur. Angelia sat in a guest room with Min and So-yeon, Diane asleep in her arms, while they debated options that all ended in disaster. We could run. So-yeon's voice was quiet. Right now, Ji-hun's people could get us out. New identities, new country. We disappear and never look back. They'd find us. Min's face was haunted. You don't understand how far the family's reach extends? There's nowhere on earth we could hide. Not for long. Not with a baby. Then we fight. Angelia's voice was steel. We use Ji-hun's evidence. We destroy the matriarch. We burn this entire family to the ground and rebuild it from ashes. Again. And how many people die in that fire? Min looked at her, really looked at her. How many innocents? How many children? Because the matriarch isn't alone. She has allies, soldiers, people who believe in blood purity the same way she does. If we go to war, it's not a clean surgical strike. It's mass casualties. It's Seoul running red with blood. So what do you suggest? Angelia's laugh was bitter. That I pretend to be Lee Tae-won's grieving widow? That I let them claim my daughter? That I become exactly what my mother was trying to escape? Min was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, what if we do both? What if you join the family, but on our terms? You take your mother's place, yes, but as an infiltrator, as the woman who's going to dismantle them from the inside. You become the heir they want, and then you use that position to destroy everything they've built. That could take years. The matriarch has 6 months. Ji-hun will inherit after she dies. And with you as a legitimate family member, you'd have legal claim to assets, to votes, to power. Between the 3 of us, you, me, and Ji-hun, we'd control the majority of family resources. We could change everything, slowly, carefully, from the inside. Angelia looked down at Diane, at her daughter's innocent face, at the tiny hands that didn't know they carried royal blood. She thought about her mother, trapped in a marriage to a monster, trying to escape and dying for it. She thought about the daughter in Kyoto, 6 years old and marked for death. She thought about all the other children who died because of blood purity laws, and all the ones who would die in the future if nothing changed. All right. The word felt like surrender and declaration of war at the same time. I'll join them. I'll play the grieving widow. I'll let them think they've won. But Min, I need you to promise me something. Anything. If I become them, if playing this role changes me into something monstrous, you end it. You take Diane and you run. You don't let me turn into Lee Sun-hee. You don't let me become the thing I'm fighting against. Min pulled her close. Diane between them, their daughter the center of everything. You could never become her. You're too much your mother's daughter, too much a Richardson, too much the woman I fell in love with. Promise me anyway. I promise. They walked back into the hall together. The family gathered. The matriarch on her throne, Ji-hun standing to the side, his expression unreadable. Min-jun in the shadows, watching everything. Angelia stood before Lee Sun-hee, her daughter in her arms, and spoke the words that would seal their fates. I accept. I'll take my place as a Lee. I'll honor my mother's marriage. I'll raise Diane as a member of this family. But I have conditions. The matriarch's eyebrows rose. You're in no position to negotiate. I'm in every position to negotiate, because you need me more than I need you. Angelia's smile was dangerous. I'm a forensic accountant. I know where every dollar in this family is hidden. Every illegal account, every shadow corporation, every bribe and payoff and embezzlement. You kill me, and all of that information goes to Korean authorities, automatically, triggered by my death. So, yes, grandmother, I have conditions. The title was deliberate. A challenge, a claim. If she was family, she'd use their titles. She'd play their game. Name them. First, Ji-hun's daughter in Kyoto is under family protection, officially, publicly. Any move against her is a move against me. Agreed. Second, So-yeon stays with me, as my advisor, my friend, my sister in everything but blood. The matriarch glanced at So-yeon, calculating. Agreed. Third, Min-jun tells me everything he knows about my mother, the real story, not the sanitized version. I want to know how she died, who pulled the trigger, and why. Min-jun stepped forward from the shadows. That's a story that will break your heart. My heart's already broken. I want the truth. Then you'll have it. Angelia turned to the assembled family, to the aunts and uncles and cousins who'd watched this entire drama unfold with hungry eyes. And finally, I want it understood by everyone here that Diane is my daughter first, and a Lee second. She will be raised with both sides of her heritage. She will know her Black American roots as deeply as her Korean ones. She will grow up proud of being mixed, not ashamed. And anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly. Silence, heavy, charged, and then, impossibly, the matriarch laughed. It was a terrible sound, like rocks grinding together, but it was genuine. You really are Diane Richardson's daughter. She would be proud and furious, probably both. The old woman struggled to stand, refused help from her attendants. She approached Angelia slowly, each step labored. When she reached them, she looked down at baby Diane with an expression that was almost soft. Your mother tried to escape this family, tried to save you from it. And here you are, walking back in voluntarily. Either you're the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most foolish. Maybe both. Angelia met her gaze, unflinching. But I learned something destroying your San Francisco empire. Sometimes the only way to change a system is from the inside. Sometimes you have to become the monster to kill the monster. Lee Sun-hee's smile was approving and terrifying. Welcome to the family, granddaughter. I suspect the next 6 months are going to be very interesting. As the family dispersed, as the guards stood down, as the crisis passed into an uneasy truce, Angelia felt Min's hand slip into hers. He leaned close, whispered in her ear. What did we just do? We made a deal with the devil, Angelia whispered back. And now, we have 6 months to figure out how to beat her at her own game. Outside, Seoul glittered in the darkness, a city of millions who had no idea a war was being waged in the shadows. A war between tradition and progress, between blood purity and love, between the old world and the new. And at the center of it all, a 3-month-old baby girl who had no idea she'd just become the most dangerous person in Korea. So what happens next? Can Angelia really take down the matriarch from the inside? Or is she walking into a trap she'll never escape? And what secrets about her mother is Min-jun about to reveal? Drop your predictions in the comments and let me know what city you're watching from. If you're ready for part 3, where everything we thought we knew gets flipped upside down, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. because the real war is just beginning and nobody is coming out of this the same person they were going in. See you in the next one.